Okay, so now that the WCQ season is basically over, we can slowly start looking at the new set, which is Duelist next, that gets released in about 2 weeks. If I counted correctly, it should be about 5 to 8 decks that get only viable through this set, which is pretty impressive. It's definitely more than the other sets we've had in the, last months. It's a very interesting time to be an enthusiastic deck builder. Now, we've seen a lot of people talk about Revolution, Synchron, Rescue Ace, Pearly, all the standard things, but a deck that I find to be really underrated and that I've tested quite intensely now, that's why I make the video about it, is the new Chimera archetype. It's also the new Illusionist type archetype, if you want to call it that. It's a very interesting deck in my opinion because it can fit a lot of non-engine, but has very, very strong card economy at the same time. So we want to talk about the deck today a little bit, show you a deck list maybe. I'd be really grateful if you share your ideas in the comment section down below if you tested the deck yourself, or maybe, 1 or 2 things come up as the video progresses. Maybe some ideas that you might have. Definitely leave them down below so we can maybe work on the deck together. I haven't really seen too many lists. Even in the OCG, people are not really playing the deck at the moment. But doesn't necessarily mean that the deck is bad. So let's talk about it together, and I'll show you a combo and then wrap it up really quick. Now, the first thing that strikes the eye immediately are 15 non-engine slots. If you ask me, that's a pretty high number, and the reason I really like the deck at the moment, especially for a new format where things are pretty unclear. And honestly, if I look at the new Vanadium combos, the support with the Visa Synchro Monster, and the Rescue Ace deck, I like having some hand traps in my deck, at least for the time being. If we wanted to play a fusion-based deck in the past, we would play Branded, obviously incredible power ceiling and just very good engine overall. But this deck can afford a lot more non-engine than the Branded deck, so that's why I like it. We even play Branded Fusion as a starter, more or less, an Ashbait even. It's an absurd card, but it's not the main focus of the deck. So if you open Branded Fusion, it's nice. If you don't open it, that's also fine. The only thing I want to keep you in mind is that the monster count for the non-engine should be reasonably high, because if you don't use them on the opponent's turn to stop them, you will want to use monsters in your hand for Guardian Chimera to draw into your engine to get your plays going, more or less. So Guardian Chimera is a central point of the deck, more or less. You want to bring this out on your turn, on the opponent's turn, and then on your turn again, so that's why you play 3. It's an integral part of the game plan for this deck, which I really like because Guardian Chimera is a very fun card to use. Now, all the Illusionist monsters have this sort of gimmick where they cannot be destroyed by battle with an opponent's monster, but the opponent's monster also cannot die. So it's just a gimmick of the Illusionist type. This one says you contribute it as a quick effect, special summon one monster that mentions Chimera Fusion. So basically all the new monster cards. And when your opponent activates a monster effect while you control Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast, which all the new fusions are considered Chimera the Flying Mythical Beast, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard and negate the opponent's monster effect. So a monster effect from the graveyard, sort of similar to Rika Princess. Pretty nice. You also have Cornfield Coater. So basically, this is very simple. You can discard this one to add one of the monsters from your deck to your hand. Anything that mentions Chimera Fusion. So you have 6 copies of the Mirror Swordsman, which Mirror Swordsman is your main starter of the deck. What you will special summon with Mirror Swordsman is usually the Baphomet, the Great Wings. So this one on normal or special summon, this card is broken. You can add one level 4 beast monster so you can also add both Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand. And if it's sent to the grave as a fusion material, then you can target an Illusionist monster in your grave and special summon it. Right now, we don't really have too many Illusionist monsters. We only have 3. So we have the Mirror Swordsman, the Cornfield Coater, and the Nightmare Magician that we'll get to later. It's not that great of a card, but you can possibly side it going second. We have a 4th one, that's the Big Fusion guy, but the Big Fusion guy is honestly not that great, so you will not really make it that often. Then we have Gazelle, so if this is normal or special summon, you can add a level 5 Fiend or a Chimera Fusion from your deck to your hand. So any level 5 Fiend, and the same goes for the Baphomet, and any level 4 Beast. Now, you can look at the targets yourself on Dueling Book, but the level 4 Beast, the only really useful one is King Tiger Wango, which you can bring out. It's a nice floodgate versus decks like Sprite. The only really other good level 4 beast would be the Spring and Skid that searches the Branded Fusion, but you cannot really special summon this card, and you need your normal summon in the deck, and also the Branded Fusion is not an integral part of the game plan, right? So you don't need to play it. I don't think it's necessary, and your card economy is very important, so giving up cards in your hand with this effect is not that great in my opinion. The level 5 Fiends, there are not really that many interesting ones. I've looked at them once, but didn't really find too many good ones. Now, the core part or the core card of the deck is the Chimera Fusion. So this is a quick play fusion spell where during the main phase you fusion summon one using from hand or field, including a beast or fiend monster, and during the main phase, even in the same turn as it was sent to the grave, if you have Chimera the flying mythical beast on your field or in your grave, you can either add this back to your hand, so you can on your turn use it and then just add it back immediately, or you can banish it to special a Gazelle, King of Mythical Beasts, and one Baphomet from your deck and or grave. Now, these two cards here don't do anything. They're vanillas, right? The one is a level 4 vanilla, the other is basically a level 5 vanilla. It's an effect monster, but doesn't have a great effect. I usually only use this first effect, and this gives you, this is very nice because then you can set the Chimera Fusion and use it on your opponent's turn again. Let's go over the new fusion monsters. So this is the Chimera, the Phantom Beast King. If it's fusion summoned, you can activate the effect to, during the end phase, send a random card from the opponent's hand to the graveyard. During the opponent's turn, you can banish it from the grave to special one beast, fiend, or illusionist monster from your grave. So this is your way to bring back the King Tiger Wangu, if you want to go for that. But it's also a way to, during the opponent's turn, bring out the Baphomet again, to then search once again the Gazelle and the Chimera Fusion. So you can already see how the card economy really explodes in this deck. The other new card is the Magnum the Reliever. This is a new fusion from Duelist Nexus. This needs one monster special summon from the extra deck and one monster in the hand. So you can also go with Chimera Fusion into this by using the Chimera the Phantom Beast King after you added back the Chimera Fusion from the graveyard. Once per turn, you can target a polymerization or a fusion spell, place it on the bottom of the deck from your grave, and then draw a card. So, it's a nice upstart. And then when another card or effect is activated, so from you or the opponent, you can banish one polymerization or fusion spell from your grave and target one card on the field and destroy it. This is a reasonably nice effect. It's not broken or anything, but it can be sometimes nice. If you have the polymerization with the Patchwork or Edgem Chain, put the polymerization back under the deck, draw a card, set the Chimera Fusion, activate it, make Guardian Chimera with the monster that you special summon back off the Baphomet. Then you have a fusion card in your graveyard that you can banish with the Magnum the Reliever to pop a card on the field. So sometimes you have lines where this is pretty nice. If you want to draw another hand trap, if you want to try that, if you know that otherwise your field might not be strong enough, then you can definitely go for that, so it's a nice option. We play 3 Guardian Chimera, of course, and that is an integral part of the deck, as I said, with Chimera Fusion and Polymerization going second. It's pretty nice. The only thing that I would have liked to see is that this is also untargetable if the Chimera Fusion is in the graveyard, but it is what it is, right? We also play 3 Patchwork. This is really nice because it adds a Fiend monster to our hand and a Polymerization, which the Chimera Phantom Beast King needs a Beast and a Fiend. So that's perfectly fitting, right? And the Edgem Chain also, we can use it with Chimera Fusion, 2 Polymerization in tandem with it, and then 3 Branded Fusion with Fallen of Albas. So you can activate Branded Fusion, and usually what you just do is you just send Fallen of Albas and the Gazelle to go into Rindbram, and Gazelle, because it was used as a fusion material, you can add an Illusionist monster from your deck to your hand, and then you can add the Mirror Swordsman to get into your just standard combo. So Branded Fusion is just another starter card. And the nice thing is, because this deck struggles a bit with hand traps, right? This deck, it's a one-card combo deck, but, as many one-card combo decks, it gets stopped by sometimes one Ash Blossom or one Impermanence on the Baphomet, which is quite annoying. And I would say it's the biggest weakness of the deck. But the Branded Fusion will always bait the Ash, right? If you activate Branded Fusion, everyone will Ash this immediately. And then if you have the Mirror Swordsman, Coater, or whatever, you can still keep playing afterwards, which is pretty nice. And what I also like about summoning the Rindbram is that if you can send this with the Chimera Fusion on the opponent's turn to make Guardian Chimera, and then you still have the effect to reborn the Fallen of Albas to go into Mirror Jade. So obviously we play that whole package as well. For the extra deck, we just play, like I said, this package, and then we play 1 Mud Dragon, 1 Garura for the Super Poly in the side deck. We play 1 Proxy F Magician. This never basically comes up, and Dark also almost never comes up, right? You don't even have any targets right now in the deck. The Nightmare Magician is a potential candidate to put into the deck. So this has the effect at the end of the damage step, if this card battled an opponent's monster, you can take control of that monster, forever. So it's pretty nice. And at the start of the damage step, if another monster attacks, you can destroy a card on the field. So if your opponent has maybe a monster on the field, you can attack, take control, attack, and then destroy a card on the field. I think that's how it should work, right? But it's just a nice card in general. Obviously it's a brick, right? So that's not really that great, but you can special summon it back with the Baphomet, you can search it with the Gazelle, you could even reborn it with the Chimera Phantom Beast King. So I guess the synergy is there. Maybe I have to test it a little bit more. I didn't want to fill the deck with more breaks because the Baphomet is already kind of not that great. It's a level 5 monster, so you cannot normal summon it, obviously. So yeah, and then everything the side deck, you can decide on your own. This just definitely doesn't make sense yet for the new format. Who knows how that's gonna look. So let's maybe look at a combo, right? A standard combo that we could do with the deck. So this is what only Mirror Swordsman does. So we normal summon the Mirror Swordsman, we use the effect, we summon out the Baphomet. The Baphomet triggers on summon, we add the Chimera Fusion, and we add the Gazelle to our hand. Then we activate the Chimera Fusion using the Baphomet and the Gazelle to summon the Chimera, the Phantom Beast King. Now this will be Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 and Chainlink 3. This one will summon back the Mirror Swordsman. We will add an Illusionist monster from our deck to our hand. We want to add the Courtier because this is a different name for Guardian Chimera. On the end phase, we're going to discard a card, and then we use the Chimera Fusion to add it back to our hand. We can set this card, and then we have a Guardian Chimera setup. We could also, if the opponent activates a monster effect, use the Mirror Swordsman to banish it from the field to negate the monster effect. It isn't all that impressive, but usually you will obviously have hand traps in tandem with it, and that's what makes the deck so great, because with the Guardian Chimera you draw into more hand traps. This would be, you know, a standard hand molder. It's a pretty good hand, so we activate Branded Fusion. I will just want to show you how Branded Fusion is a starter in this deck. We send the Gazelle and the Fallen of Albaz, and this is very simple. I mean, you wouldn't even need a combo video for this, to be honest. So with the Gazelle, you can just add the Mirror Swordsman. You could also add the Courtier and then add the Mirror Swordsman just to thin your deck out a bit more to draw more hand traps with the Guardian Chimera. You use the Mirror Swordsman, you special summon the Baphomet again, then you add the Gazelle, the second Gazelle, and then you add a Chimera Fusion. Now the nice thing is, if you already open Chimera Fusion, you can also, if they chain impermanence to Baphomet, you can obviously chain the Chimera Fusion to dodge it, so that basically is a +1 then, which is very nice. We can then go for the Chimera Fusion. Now you won't be able to activate the Gazelle here because you already activated it, but that, you know, doesn't really matter. So you activate the effect to discard a card in the end phase and special summon one card back. You summon back the Mirror Swordsman, you activate the Chimera Fusion, add it back to your hand, and now you just set whatever cards you have in your hand. Chimera Fusion is not once per turn, so you can make multiple fusions, and so on and so forth. So you have a lot of options here, and playing through 3 hand traps on its own is pretty hard. Now, this is sort of the idea of what the deck is trying to go for. So the question still remains how good this deck will end up being. Out of all the new decks that gets either support or get newly released in Duelist Nexus, I think this is the most underrated one. So, and it should be rather cheap. I think it should be rather cheap. So if you want to pick it up, I think it's very, very fun with Guardian Chimera resolving so much. It's one of the most fun decks I've played in a while. If you have any ideas about it, please share them in the comment section down below. I would, you know, greatly appreciate it to get some insight, get some new information about the deck. Don't really have too many people talking about it with me quite yet. All right, that's it for the video, and I hope to see you very soon.